we have to put in the bushings and the seals and all that stuff. And I have my little cheat sheet here that tells me the order that those go in. So first, what goes on the fork is the dust seal. Oh, and I'm going to use, let's see, this is the new Racetech dust seal. And it goes in, it has a spring kind of on one side. This spring goes down toward the brakes, okay? Oh, here's another thing. This tool is a little silly. It looks like a marital aid, but it really helps in getting the seals over this lip of the fork, because this is kind of some sharp kind of teeth here. You could put a plastic bag or maybe even some tape or something over this thing, but I'm going to use this, I don't know, because it looks like a marital aid. So we're just going to slide that on here, and it's a real tight fit. I'll probably have to cut that off. And I'm going to put a little bit of DC4, just some grease. Again, you could probably just use, you know, fork oil. I probably should be using fork oil. Just going to smear some of this grease around here, lube it up. Yeah. Let the jokes fly. Okay, here's the dust seal. Spring toward the brake. Okay, slide the dust seal on, and it just goes over that lip nice and clean. The next thing is the little springy ring. This is the little springy ring. This is the ring you have to kind of pry out to get the whole thing apart. That doesn't require any special care. Let's put that on there. And the next thing is the oil seal. Where's my oil seal? Brand new Racetech oil seal. This too has a spring. It actually has two springs. There's one in here that you can't see, but there's one that's out here. And again, you can look at the, I don't know if you can see this. There are two lips in here. Two kind of chevrons. Well, there's three actually. There's two lips that are pointing down and one that's pointing up. For the two lips over here on this side of the seal that are pointing down, those need to go toward the oil. So again, we have a spring on this end that goes toward the fork, because the seals, the two lips of the seals are pointing this way. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to put the oil seal on here. I'll be a little bit careful with this thing because it's expensive and we don't want to break it. Okay, and then we have our big washer. This is just part of the fork. And then we put on our bushings. Now, the bushings, we put on our small bushing first. These are the bushings that come from Racetech. You had to order them separate. I ordered them. You may choose not to, just because I want to put in new bushings. They're split. You got a little split right there. This bushing, oh, let's not, we don't need this marital aid anymore. So let's kind of clean this off a little bit and get this thing off of here. It just comes right off. Oh, wow, that thing's a pain. Okay, so we have our bushing. We slide the bushing on. That's the little bushing. This is a big bushing. I already did the other fork, that's why there's a part missing. You don't have to order these from Racetech. You can if you want to. I chose to order them. This one also has, where is it? There it is. A little split right there. So you put this bushing on, it rides in this groove right here. Just pull it open and slide it in. Goes click in the groove, and that's it. So, I just put my armpit in a bunch of grease. That's gross. Okay, so now we're going to put the we're going to slide these fork ends together. Slide these fork pieces together, these tubes together. And since we just put new bushings on here, you know what? I'm gonna be a little bit possibly overcautious and use my ultra slick fork fluid just a little bit to kind of pre-lubricate this bushing. Because you know, I would hate to spend all this time and energy putting in all these bushings only to put a big gouge in it while I'm putting the fork back together. So that's what I should have done instead of using that DC4 anyway. So slide the fork tube on, nice and easy, so we don't beat up the brand new bushings. And then all these parts just kind of stack in by themselves. These go in. Now the seal, There's about 1,000,000 ways to drive an oil seal. I'm not going to go into all those ways. I don't have that kind of time. So I actually have a fork seal driver. I think this is made by Motion Pro. I'm not sure. For this fork. It's just a little kind of a split. It's like a slide hammer that comes apart nice and easy. So we put the slide hammer fork seal driver on the fork. And just drive it in. Whoops. Get a little space there. There we go. Get a good swing on it. That nice metal to metal clanking means the seal has been driven. See? Oh yeah, it says Motion Pro 08-0138 right there. And now this little clip, this little spring clip thing goes into, there's a little groove inside. I'm not going to get a detailed video of this groove. I mean, it's pretty, I mean, you should be able to see a groove. There's a groove in there that ring sits in. I'm just looking around to make sure that ring is in the groove all the way around, and it is. Last thing we do is put in the dust seal. I'm just going to push this in by hand because it's not that hard. And give it a little tap with the seal driver, and it'll go in just fine. Oh, you know what I'm noticing is that this seal driver is actually hitting the lip of the dust seal, so we don't want to use that seal driver. That wouldn't be good. So what we're going to do instead is, think about it for a moment, use a little mallet. I'm just going to tap the edge of it. There we go, until we can see that there's no gap. Okay. Dust seal is nicely assembled to the fork. Okay, now we're going to put in oil. Fork kind of clamped to my bench just so I can see it and I can work at it at the right level. Move that over just a little bit. Okay. So we're going to set the fork level, the oil level. We forgot to put in the damping rod. We'll put in the damping rod. This is just a rod. This is the rebound damping rod. The depth of this rod changes to activate the rebound valve based on what the screw setting is. Okay. So we want 100 millimeters. That's what Racetech says I should have, 100 millimeters. So we're going to go for 100 millimeters. So I have a little stick that's got a mark at 10 millimeters and at 110 millimeters. I know it's at 10 millimeters and 110 millimeters because I have a ruler, a metric ruler. Why do I have 110? Because I want to be able to put the stick in the fork to the right level and actually see oil on the stick. That way I know I'm getting exactly 100 millimeters. So, there's not a whole lot of science to this. Get my cheat sheet out of the way. I'm just going to dump some oil in here. Now the cartridge is now empty. So we want to put in some oil and cycle the thing up and down so the cartridge fills up. Okay? I'm not feeling a whole lot of resistance yet. I'm not feeling any resistance at the moment. There we go. You can feel the cartridge starting to fill up because you can actually start feeling resistance. Now this will use about 3/4 of a quart to fill this thing up with oil. There we go. Now it's getting harder. You can even hear it. There we go. These things, by the way. Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied that the cartridge is full of oil. And now we just add it until there's 100 millimeters of oil in there. And I'm just now looking down into the fork. And I don't see any oil yet. There's two tubes here. There's an outer tube and an inner tube. You want to make sure that you don't get oil in between those two tubes. All right, you want to pour it down the middle. Don't get it in the gap between the outer tube and the inner tube. Remember where those bushings were? Don't get it in there, because that oil does not contribute to the damping. You want to pour oil kind of in the middle. Get as little oil around the edges as you can. Alright, let's add some more oil. I don't see any in there yet. Now this super slick fork oil put out by Racetech, about 30 bucks a quart. And boy, they want you to change this about every 20 minutes. That's a slight exaggeration, but I think it's more like every, I don't know, 40 hours or something like that. That seems a bit excessive to me. But if I was selling oil at 30 bucks a quart, I would want them to change it very often too. Now there's almost no chance I only get this right the first time. Now I think I'm starting to see the oil level come up a little bit. There we go, I'm starting to see it. So I'm going to take my wooden tube with the markings and put, or excuse me, wooden stick with the markings. Where's my little pointer thing? And I'm going to make, where is it? This mark, where is it? There it is. Level this mark right here at the 110 millimeter mark. Level with the top of the forks as closely as I can. And that's it. And look at that. That's right at the 10 millimeter mark. That's the 100 millimeter mark. That's the 10 millimeter mark. I got it right the first time. I think that's the first time ever. Anyhow, that means that there's 100 millimeters between the top of the fork and the top of the oil. That's what we want. Holy cow, I did it right the first time. I should go play the lottery. This never happens. I'm very excited about this. Okay, so then we put our, again, I'm not putting springs in because springs are coming. We have our little valve here. This is the top cap thing. Little bumper. That goes in like that. Or, wait a minute, how does that go? Let me think about this for a minute. Do I have that right? I think I have that right. This goes in like that goes in like that, right? Then we have our little nylon spacer, our metal spacer. It just went in crooked. That's that thing. Now normally I'd be fighting a spring, but I'm not going to because I'm not putting in springs right now. We'll just thread this right on. It threads right on, like it falls on there, just like that. That was probably a mistake. Let me see if I can get this to thread on here. There we go. So I will be putting on springs in here. That seems like a dumb thing to say, but it seems like it's worth saying. I'm just not doing them right now. So I'm going to take my little clamp loose. And I'm just going to tighten up my forks. Now what I'm going to do is actually loosen this back up. Sorry, this is being a little bit confusing. I'm going to extend my forks all the way, just because that's how I roll, and just put them together like that. And I'm not going to tighten that very tight because, again, I'm going to go back in there and put springs in. But here we go. This fork leg is done. Look at that. Okay? That's very exciting. Okay, so that's it. So thanks for watching.